Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. You're all very welcome to the backyard at Blasnarin, supported by Bank of Ireland. My name's Sharon Noonan, and I'm delighted to be hosting this session. I am the host of The Best Possible Taste, which is Ireland's longest-running food and drink radio show and podcast, which is celebrating 10 years on air just in a week's time or so. So that's who I am. But you're not here to listen to me, you're here to listen to my two fantastic guests. So we have Sinead Doyle from Brave, which is a marketing agency that's on a mission to unlock opportunities for food and drink companies. And then we've Tara Beatty, who is the co-founder, along with her husband Brian, of Prep Sheets, which is a really exciting new piece of tech that Tara is going to talk a bit more about in a minute or two. But Tara has great pedigree whenever it comes to hospitality. She's more than 30 years experience there. I know she doesn't look like she has, but it is true. She has over 30 years experience. And the theme of this talk is about tools and technology to make your life easier. Even myself in business, I find from talking to other people that are consultants like myself, we always have the odd hack here and there of things that we can do, things we can use online just to make life a bit easier for ourselves. So I went out to the two ladies and said, send me your list of tools. They're not all tech tools, but most of them are. So they came back with a number of things that we're able to kind of put into different categories. So some of them would fall under production, some of them are under finance, some of them are under marketing, and some of them are under HR and admin. So I'm going to start with you, Sinead, because the first one you sent through was VA, a virtual assistant, and this is something that you've personally used in your business.
Yeah, absolutely. We talk about how to make life a little bit easier as a food, producer and my own business. It's trying to find that help that you're not investing in, having the resource. You can't afford to have the resource or the commitment. So virtual assistants are just amazing. And you can have, it's low commitment, you can pay for up to 10 hours a month, a week, whatever you like. But they take away all that day-to-day admin that, takes you away from doing the job you need to do. You need to focus on what will, grow your business rather than answering emails or, different day-to-day things that can really take you away. So I highly recommend virtual assistants, especially today. I mean, I have a virtual assistant, and it was one piece of advice someone said to me when you set up your business: invest in people and get somebody to take away all that kind of day-to-day stuff so that you can focus. And I'm pretty busy. I have 2 young kids, so I needed somebody else. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to grow the business, and I just couldn't live without her. I've only met her once in person, and that just happened because I happened to be up in Newry. But and she's fantastic. She's part of my team, essentially. But having virtual assistants, I think, are amazing. I think it's a brilliant concept.
And a lot of the finalists here over the couple of days, they are small artisan producers. So their passion is usually making and creating their products, as opposed to doing the finance, the admin and the marketing. But I think, when you start out, they maybe don't have the financial resources initially. But I think one of the things that they can do is use a tool that I use called Toggle. And I think it was Vivian actually that introduced me to Toggle. And it's like an online time tool. And I would always recommend, when I'm mentoring companies, to start using it to find out how long it takes you to do certain things. Because then whenever you are going to outsource it, at least you have an idea of how much time is involved in it. And it should actually be less time if you're outsourcing it to a specialist. Yeah. So if we talk about finance then, Tara, and using some of those pieces of technology or outsourcing the finance side of the business, that's something that you do.
Yeah, so I suppose I probably was a bit of a control freak when we started our business, and I tried to do everything myself. But what that does is it keeps you, as you were saying, Sinead, it keeps you too much in the business and not outside showing off your business. So I'd like to try and work with Irish companies. So there is a company called Outmin, which basically is an outsourced accountant. Now, it sounds really expensive, but when you have to do your annual returns and you have to do your monthly filings, and of course I would have done all of these myself, but there's this company and it's about €199 a month, but they do everything for you then on your accountancy. Plus, they also give you access to a software like QuickBooks or Big Red Book or one of them. So it means that you're saving on that monthly expense as well as then an accountant. And most accountants are going to charge you about $2,500 to do your annual returns anyway. So it's actually a really good investment in time. And then they give you a little, I don't actually have it yet because I haven't handed over, but they give you a daily profit and loss of how actually you're doing, and also then on your products. So you can see if this product is one that's making me money or not. So that's a really good tool.
And do you take photographs of all your receipts and upload it to something, and then they look after all
Yeah,
that?
they do. And they enter it in, and they will bill your customers as well for you, because it's all done through the online system and it's held in the cloud, so you don't have to worry about anything, and you can have it on your phone, which most small business owners want to see how they're doing, so you can have a quick check-in and see how everything is going. It's actually it's only about 3 years old. There is obviously the classic ones if you want to do it yourself, so you have Big Red Book, which is Irish, or you go more international, which would be Sage or QuickBooks, and again, they're all online. They all have that feature where you can upload it, take your photo on your phone. You can use tools like when you get a little bit bigger and busier, where you can have an automated invoice inputting system. So if you don't move to somebody like Outmin and you stay with a more local product, you can then get your invoices actually put in directly into your system, and you just then approve them. And those tools, they kind of charge you per invoice. So again, before you move over to somebody like Outmin, if you're small, as PrepSheet still is, you can kind of use something like that.
And in the VAT, that takes care of the VAT.
They do the VAT, so
returns,
they would
yeah.
do also, as I said, I'm a control freak, so at the moment I'm doing our VAT, I'm doing our payroll, I'm doing all of that, but they do all of that. They'll do your payroll, they'll do your VAT, and instead they'll do your annual returns as well, so you're free to run your business.
So it's like the end of October soon, and some people will be scurrying around looking for the receipts and trying to get that all together to take to the accountant to get it all, like as my accountant said last year, come in January, Sharon.
I know,
January.
because you have them all.
You don't have to wait until the 31st of October. You can come in January. Yeah. So look, that's fair enough. If we talk then about marketing, because that's very much your area of expertise, and I'm sure some people here, they'll be wondering about chat GPT and what that's all about. And you have some experience using that, Shemaine.
Yeah, definitely. I think, the greatest piece of advice I can get to give people, because people will go, oh, ChatGPT, what do I do? And actually, it's actually really popular. And my biggest piece of advice is just get on it. Just ask it anything and see what comes out. And you'll be so surprised. And the quality of what comes out, so it'll give you inspiration if you're looking for ideas about, it could be research, it could be anything. And if you really want to learn more about it, there's actually a course, I think it's Udemy online, it's about €20, and there's like lots of different modules, and you can learn very quickly how to use it. But it's an absolute benefit to every business, and it feels like you've got another person there to sound things off, and what comes out is really, really good quality of what comes out. So anything like if you want research or, just some details about, I don't know, like
if you wanted to send an email to somebody about something, or maybe write a press release about something, and you might have a bit of kind of mental.
Yeah, or a bio. Do you know, like if you just said, oh God, I don't want to sit down and write. How am I going to write all this? Like copy your own CV and say, write me a bio for this audience, and it'll give you something very beautiful.
And I think it's also important to remember that everything is online. If you don't know how to do something, just Google it. Just Google it. That's what we do. And I think whenever there's been online webinars and things like that, if people are using a lot of jargon, initials and things like that, I must confess to kind of having the phone and doing a bit of Google. What do these three letters stand for? So it is all there on the internet to make life much easier for you. You don't need to be stressing out about knowing everything, that it is all there online. And Tara, you have to tell us now about PrepSheets, because this came about during lockdown. It was like a collaboration with you and your teenage son.
Yeah, well, it came about, I suppose, after 25 years. We were running cafes and a catering company, and I love technology, so I have to put my hands up. I love technology. So when we started our business, I bought a tool like from America, because they did catering in America. We didn't really have, the volume here in Ireland, and the tool didn't do what I needed it to do to help us manage the kitchen. And then I went to the UK looking for a tool, and all the tools were really complicated, and the chefs, they're so busy in the kitchen, like they don't have time. And when you're producing a food product, you really want to focus on that. So we had created a tool in our business, kind of started in about 2007, and it had honed over the years, and then we started.
And what did you want the tool to do?
So initially I just wanted it to tell me how much every dish we made cost. And then as I was making it, I wanted to know what was the weight of each dish. And then when the law changed in 2014, I wanted to know what were the allergens in it. And then I thought, well, might as well kill two birds with one stone. What's the calories in it? So, and then we were doing food to go in our business, so I needed labels so it got too complicated and people stopped using it. So lockdown gave us time to think, and our son had just got a place to study computer science, so it was in America, which would have been a different time zone, so I locked him in a room instead and said, get programming. So he understood from dinner tables exactly what we were trying to achieve. So we created prep sheets, which basically gives us calories proportion, weights proportion, cost proportion, allergens, EU compliant labels, everything we needed. But we didn't know, did anybody else kind of want it? So we then went out to the market to see what people thought. So they liked it. So we exited catering and cafes, and now we just do prep sheets.
So tell me then how it works with the chef. They have a laptop, a computer in the kitchen with them.
So they can, so one of our clients, like our son went out there one day, they were having a little problem, and he said, God, Mum, I don't know, like, were they showing off, but they had the laptop in the kitchen. And I said, Richard, they don't have time to show off. Like, that laptop sits there because they print labels, they would do food production. So sometimes they would have it in an office, they can access it on their phone, so when they turn their phone this way, because I'm not that technical, they can actually edit on it, and they basically, what we have is we would have the ingredients of the big suppliers there and available to them with the product code, the description, the ingredients, the calories, all that info, and then they can create the recipes. They know how much they price, so like your purchase price and my purchase price will be different, so we don't get involved with that, so you keep that locally, and then they can see how much they need to sell that for. So even now when the VAT rate changed from say 9% to 13.5%, they were quickly able to go in, change their VAT rate on their product and see, oh, now I'm only going to make 60%, I need to up my sales price, and they could measure how much do they need to change their sale price to.
So if there's a food producer here and say they make breads, for example, how could they use this piece of technology in their business?
So basically the recipe for their bread, they can put it into the system, and then it will tell them the weight of that portion of mix that they're making. And then basically it'll tell them how much calories, what the allergens are, and everything is linked back to what I always found was any of the tools I was looking at for us, when you came to the recipe, you had to put the information in per recipe, but then you're putting it in again and again and again. So what we've done is if we've put all the information into the ingredient, so it means that no matter what your recipe is, it takes it from the ingredients. So your information is there the minute you have your recipe done.
And the ingredients then, that's linked, did you say, to where you get it from? So if you're getting it from Cisco, for example.
Exactly.
And if the price changes with Cisco, does that automatically change? Or is there do you have to put that information in manually?
So at the moment, there's no pricing in our system because there will be what's called the list price. Nobody pays the list price. So everybody
you do, but if you do,
well,
you
you shouldn't be paying the list
that.
price, yeah. So you need to negotiate, but somebody might have a bigger buying power than somebody else. So my price might be better than your price, and so that part you maintain yourself. Now we do have an upload function that you can upload it, but what most of our customers do is they will just change that price, because at the moment prices aren't even being agreed in advance because prices are so volatile that they're only knowing about a price change when the invoice comes in. So then they can quickly react and then either change their recipe. So what we did when we implemented the new version in our business, we actually we had a lot of ingredient gates because we were noticing that certain ingredients were actually making a huge difference to the cost of the recipe. So you can tweak a recipe a little bit, like a gram here and a gram there. You can also go back to the supplier and say, hang on a second, or you can just take the item off your menu. So like we reduced our food margin by 4% in 21, which gave us back 84,500 euros. Yeah.
And it has an impact on food waste, I presume, as well.
Yeah.
A positive impact on it.
Well, it lets you know exactly how much you need to make. So once you have a proper recipe, as everybody, even a home cook knows, you only prepare what you need and you don't over purchase. So it makes sure that what goes in, you don't order too much, you don't decant too much, you don't prepare too much, you don't serve too much, and then you don't take it back and put it in the bin. So it just keeps things a lot tighter. So you can make decisions, like if you put out a new product and you can see it, and obviously if it's a food producer, it's different than in a hospitality. So if it's a hospitality, it would be a plate. And if people aren't finishing the plate, then you can reduce the portion until it comes back. And if you're a food producer, you can see how much of this product I need to make to go to do my orders, and therefore that's all you order, that's what you prepare, that's what you pack, and then that's it. So one person that we're working with at the moment, they're overproducing in their production kitchen because they can't actually pull together all of their recipes, and therefore know that to make X amount of product we need Y amount of ingredient. And so we're working with them to show them that if this is all of your orders that you're preparing, it's a fresh food, then this is how much you need.
And I know some people might think, oh God, this is very complicated, I'm not getting it all. But
I love that.
they get access to you and Brian as well.
Yeah.
Like you provide that person-to-person support to get the technology working for the
But we want
client.
people to, I suppose, make it a success, but we want them to help us make it a success as well. So as people come back to us and say, I'd like this or this, like one of our customers is in the north, and their labels were a little different requirement than ours, so we updated it to make it absolutely correct for them. So as everybody kind of comes to us with their bigger problems, we're making it better for them, but also we just love to see people's success. Yeah.
Well, Shameen, in terms of other technology that maybe isn't as, oh gosh, sounds so scary as that, from a marketing perspective, things like social media, Canva, like very simple online tools, you would be very encouraging people to use them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, people... There's the world of marketing is so big, and there's so many things that brands can do. And obviously, everybody thinks marketing thinks they have to spend a lot of money as well. So, I work with a number of food clients and small to medium-sized businesses. And for them, LinkedIn, as an example, people always, obviously the social media and Instagram and everything, absolutely very important for brands. But equally, if you want to grow your business and you're looking for new retailers or whatever to list your product, LinkedIn is just unbelievable. We recently set up a new page for a brand, and it's like being here because you're connecting with everybody. It's a network that people really need to make sure that their brand is on there, the voice of their brand, and they're connecting with all of these buyers and everything. So, and it's really easy to do. It doesn't cost a whole lot of money, and it actually doesn't cost anything. We've seen some great success. It's just time.
Yeah.
And that's something that we do for our client, and oh my God, it's just been brilliant. And to hear them, we've got connection with a buyer here or a buyer there, and it's like we didn't spend a whole lot of money on advertising or anything. Absolutely, LinkedIn. Don't forget about it. And then Canva, like it's, as I say to people, it's PowerPoint on drugs, like. But it's an easy way to make yourself look extremely professional, and whether it's creating content for your social media, for LinkedIn, whether it's you're doing a presentation for a retailer, and you just, you want it to look really good and really professional, you can do it really, really quickly, and again, very low cost as well. So highly recommend it.
And just to come back to the LinkedIn, like LinkedIn is really important for that business to business, and Instagram is more business to consumer. So the messaging can be very similar, but you really need to tweak it accordingly for each of the platforms.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, for LinkedIn, you need to understand who your target audience, who is it? So you're going after buyers, you're going after retailers. Who are they? What do they want to hear? What's important to them? Is it, the type of products, your ingredients, where you're sourcing, your production, the output of the products, as opposed to a consumer sitting in a coffee shop or whatever it is. It's about what's behind the scenes and being real. So again, the story that you put on Instagram for your customer, you're retailer wants to know something, they want you to be real as well in your content, but it's more what's going on inside as well. So yeah, it's important.
And I always recommend that small producers go to their local enterprise office to see what courses they're running in the likes of social media, because they can be very short and snappy courses. A number of them are online as well, so you're not having to physically drive anywhere. And e-learning is something that you're very passionate about and investing in terms of your team.
Yeah, so firstly, the Leo, like I'd always recommend people start with your Leo, because there's such an amount of support available there that's free. And then there's low cost. Like most of those classes are tenner. I've pretty much done all of them. So like just use them. And then eLearn is an Irish company that we used when we had a large team, and we wanted to make sure that they obviously had all the right training. And again, initially, as I said, I'm a power person, so we were trying to do it internally. We just didn't have the time. And I suppose with most problems that you have in running your business, somebody else has had that problem. And eLearn was set up again by an Irish man. It's an Irish business, and they do all of it. And the nice thing is your team, a lot of the times, end up doing those classes at night when they're not on the clock. So it means you get better value during the day when they're working with you, or if it's a night production that you're doing, and they'll still get their training done on time because you've given them a certain time to achieve this level or whatever the training is when they come on board with you. So, and I think like it was around 30 euros a class, which is great. And it just meant they could do it when it suited them, but within the times that we set out for them.
And I think it's very important that staff are also quite proactive in asking for training in certain areas, going and saying that there is this e-learning course. It costs so much, and I think it's going to be of value to you as a business owner because I'll be able to do X, Y, and Z after I do it. So, and then there's other things like HubSpot, for example, which is online, and they're obviously a platform that they want people to buy into, but they do offer lots of free courses, and Instagram is the same, LinkedIn is the same. Just once you kind of delve into it a bit, it is definitely all there. The other thing that I wanted to mention was about Bank of Ireland have a website, thinkbusiness.ie, and it's a great resource, all free. So if you need a template for a business plan or a marketing plan, they're all there. And again, the local enterprise offices are very good at providing those as well. So in terms then of your final key message, like what do you want, Shamin, for everybody here to take away today? The one thing that you want them to remember as front and foremost of their minds?
I suppose just with marketing specifically, spend your money wisely, and there's so many tools out there. Just spend your money wisely to get returns on it.
Yeah, so have a budget and know how much you can afford and how much you're prepared to spend. And if you don't have the budget, maybe just to hold back until you do have the budget.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely, definitely. I'm working with another client and we're developing the marketing plan for them. But my big thing is don't go out and spend money with influencers and all that until we fix the basics. Packaging, in-store, that kind of stuff. Fix the basics first, then let's invest, because otherwise you're just throwing money at the wall. Just to get it right. Yeah.
It's very important to have the strategy in place and actually use the strategy then, as opposed to maybe writing it because you need to write it to get funding from a local Leo or other funding source. Yeah. What's your main key message, Tara? Apart from go and look at prepsheets.ie.
Well, no, embrace technology. I do think during COVID, probably food businesses and hospitality were a little bit more open to technology because we all had a little bit more time because a lot of businesses weren't open for a period. I suppose my thing is always, if you're stuck, talk to people, use your network. Most people have had your problem, and whether there is a tool there or else it's just a shoulder to cry on. But we've just had lunch around the corner. I met a couple who kind of 10 years behind us in hospitality, and we just gave them a shoulder for 20 minutes, and it was just really nice, just get it out. So
you didn't say run.
No. I said give it another 10 years. Find a software tool, and you're laughing.
I think that's really important, to ask for help. If you are struggling with something, to ask for help. There are people out there that are more than happy to actually support and help. And like, no offence to the gentlemen in the room, but I feel that female entrepreneurs are less reluctant to do that, and we actually do need to support each other more. And there are plenty of us that are very willing to support if the person comes and asks us the question. So those networks that you have, maybe they're personal, professional, they might be online, so they're virtual. Like, put the question up there on LinkedIn: has anybody had experience of a specific type of problem? And you'd be surprised at the advice.
Well, I had a problem last night, and I had to get a video into Enterprise Ireland that was 20 megabytes. I don't know much about videos. You probably know all about this, but my video was 200 megabytes. And I firstly started with Google, and Google wasn't very much, but I got it down to 86 megabytes. So I was supposed to be here last night, but I was on the computer, and I put it into a WhatsApp group that I'm in with lots of people. And lo and behold, I got help over emails and WhatsApps, and people are working on my video as we speak because it has to be on by 6 o'clock. So use your network.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, before we formally close, does anybody have any questions they'd like to put to Tara or Shemaine? Can I just ask the audience if there's any pieces of tech or any tools that you use regularly that you'd recommend to us? No?
Yeah, Canva's brilliant.
Canva's very popular now. It really is, yeah.
I did our business cards with Canva, and I got them printed and everything. Saved us, it's brilliant.
Yeah. Kate has a question.
Hi, ladies. That was really inspiring. Thanks very much. It's great to see such wonderful things happening in the community of businesswomen. I'm a food writer, and one of the things I'm always looking for is a compelling story. So if I'm looking to write something for somebody, I'm always kind of looking for a great story, but also a really well-written press release. And I suppose question to you both, but really do you kind of still feel that there is immense value in somebody crafting a really good press release? Because I've had instances where one's gone out and I've seen the coverage for that particular client of a PR company just absolutely blow up, and they've had amazing responses. So a lot of people dismiss the value, I think, of a really well-written press release, but I think it can yield dividends. So what's your kind of perspective on that in terms of a tool, a useful tool for businesses?
We go to you first, Shemaine.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think they're invaluable. I think they're just everybody. The story is key, and it has to be crafted from, from the brand and and that message. So when I work with clients, I recently working with Macroom, and I can't write that story unless I get down there and stroke those buffalo. And that's literally, and then I can come back and talk, and them putting that out there. I mean, and I think press releases are so important and an absolutely such a useful tool and not to be forgotten. Absolutely. Yeah.
So it's nearly like you're saying it's a collaboration between the person that's writing the press release and the producer or the business owner, that it's like the two have to get together to really crack the nut.
Yeah, because the producer's not going to know the language that needs to go out there that's going to resonate with customers. So I suppose my job and in marketing and that is to really take that story, or your job really in writing, but taking that whole story and then putting it out there for consumers to really connect and engage with the brand, but it is all about that story. That story's so important.
And I think there's elements of a producer's story that they don't realise how interesting some of those nuggets are. They just take it for granted that, they grew up in the farm. Oh yeah, sure, I've been on this farm for 200 odd years, but who's interested in that? But that's a huge part of a story. It makes it even more compelling.
And I think that's where ChatGPT just doesn't get it right, so you'll always undersell yourself because you can't see the value of it. But when we did launch Prep Sheets, we did get a professional press release. And I remember when it came back to us and we were both reading it going, who is that? I don't know them, and it got us the coverage that we needed. So, and, I use ChatGPT and it comes back to me sometimes, but it will never be as good as a Shemaine or as a Kate or whoever, but it'll keep us going until we can, go out there and go bigger, or for the smaller little things. Yeah.
And I think sometimes the coverage that, if you get more coverage, it can be down to the PR company having a really good network of contacts from the press. But there are some press who they like to hear directly from the producer. I'm sure you'd agree with that, Kate and Caroline. Like, it's great getting the press releases in from the PR companies because they're written in a certain way. But equally, if an artisan producer doesn't have the funds to pay a PR company to write something, just sending an email off to the likes of yourself to say, look, you know, this is a few bits about me and I'm wondering if you'd be interested in doing a story. Like, I'm sure you get a few emails like that and you're very open to them, Kate.
Well, yeah, definitely. And I think I've often said to people in the past, one of the most important things you can do as a small producer with no budget is to basically just go out, imagine the kind of publications you'd like to see yourself in, a newspaper, whether it's a newspaper, a magazine, a supplement, whatever. And if that's where you feel that your story and where you'd like to see your business being positioned, inside the cover of every magazine, inside the cover of every newspaper, there are the names and the contact details of the editors, the features editors, the sub-editors, everybody. And that's how you build your list. You can do that it costs nothing except to go out and buy a publication that you'd like to eventually see yourself in. And I think it helps for people to visualize that as well. So, you know, I think for me, I've said that so many times over the years, and people don't think about it. You know, we're so busy flicking through publications, we never think to look at the bit of small print that's just inside the cover. And it's a gold mine of information, you know. So, yeah, there's that. Absolutely no problem in people contacting the likes of myself, and I'm sure Caroline's the same directly, and also getting in contact through the social media kind of channels as well. And if you can get the story right, I suppose, on those channels from the beginning, where it's a compelling proposition, we're going to come along with you for the journey, watching your business kind of grow and become a beautiful thing. So, and that's the kind of hook that I would be looking for as well.
And you love to be the first to report on a
we love a scoop.
Absolutely. And look, what you're saying there about go out and get the papers, it is really important to know what sort of things a journalist writes about. And, you know, so there's an article there and you think, that could be me. You know, they could write something similar about me. So you send them an email saying, I really enjoyed the piece that you wrote about that company, and, you know, I'd welcome an opportunity to explore you covering our story if it's of interest to you as well.
Oh, definitely. Flattery really does get you everywhere.
Absolutely. Great question. Thanks, Kate. Anybody else have a question for the panel? Or will we wrap it up? I must say it's got much colour in here. Yeah. It was. So listen, thanks very much to Simeon Doyle. beabravebrand.com is your website. Tara Beatty, prepsheets.ie. .com. Fantastic. Make sure you connect with the two ladies and myself on LinkedIn. Piece of advice there that you mentioned, Simeon. And if you'd just like to give the panel a big round of applause, and thanks very much for your attention.